Are you thinking about buying a house long distance? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's do this. Hello everyone, my name is Valera. I'm a former teacher turned realtor living here in the beautiful city of McKinney, Texas. So are you buying a house long distance? Well, if you are, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips to do it with less stress. So tip number 1 is to do your research. Research, and research again, all right? So the Dallas area is home to over 7 million people, which you really wouldn't think that if you lived here. And it also encompasses 13 counties, with the most popular counties being Dallas, Denton, Tarrant, and Collin. There are many diverse areas, including the downtown area, living in suburbia, or just plain enjoying nature and living in the country. They all have their pros and cons. So when you're doing your research, you really need to figure out, do you want to live in an area that gives you a short commute to work? Do you want to live in an area that has great schools? Do you want to live in an area that allows you to just walk everywhere and not need a car? Those are all things that you should be thinking about while you're doing your research. And also when you do your research, you want to start narrowing it down. What parts of town, what cities, what areas do you want to be in? So that way when you do actually fly in and you go see properties, you're not looking at 30 properties in one day. And by the way, 30 properties in one day is very unrealistic. And when you narrow your search, you're not going to be able to look at homes that are 30 miles apart because you simply just don't have the time. So make sure again, you are narrowing that search. So that way you can make the absolute best use of your time when you're here looking at homes. So tip number 2 is to see if you can find a local real estate agent. That way they can help you long distance. Now, I've worked with tons of buyers that are moving here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area from all over, and this is what I usually do. So what I do for my clients is I will set them up on an email search so that way they are notified as to the properties that they are interested in. So what I do is I go to the properties and I will take my little nifty 360-degree camera with me, and I will take a video of the outside, of the inside, and it's actually very cool because you can get a 360-degree view of when I'm standing outside in the neighborhood. You can do a 360 spin and look up and look down. The same is true for all of the rooms as well. You should be able to pause the video and take a 360-degree look at that particular property. So once I create the video, I will send my clients a link. And so that way they can watch the video whenever it's convenient for them. And that way they have a better idea of the neighborhood, the floor plan, what the real condition of the property is without ever stepping foot in that home. That way they can start thinking about, do I really like this house? Do I need to keep it on my list and absolutely go see it when I'm in town? Or should I take it off my list because I really didn't like the neighborhood? And if you want more information about how I create these really cool 360 videos for my clients, be sure to click this link right up here. So tip number 3 is narrow your search. I can't stress this enough. Narrow it until you can't narrow it anymore. The last thing that you want to do is to drive up for a weekend and try to see 30 homes in a day. That is unrealistic. They'll all start blending together. You won't be able to remember which house had the awesome kitchen, which one had the amazing porch, which one had a great backyard, perfect for your dog. So try and best narrow your search so that way you can see a reasonable amount of homes when you come in town to take a look. Now, by reasonable, I mean anywhere from 5 to 6 homes a day is normal. So any more than 5 or 6 homes a day, you probably won't be able to see, or they'll all start blending together. So keep that in mind whenever you are planning your trip here to see properties. And most buyers in this market are usually going to see anywhere from 10 to 12 properties before they're able to make a decision and say, yes, I want to put an offer in on this house. And tip number 4 is know your market. Now, your real estate agent should be able to help you with this information and let you know if you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. So if there are 100 homes on the market and only 50 buyers, that means you're probably in more of a buyer's market. If there are 50 homes on the market and 100 people needing to buy a home, that's more of a seller's market. So you need to know these things up front before you make your trip down, so that way when it is time for you to write your offer, you make an offer that the seller can't refuse. So these indicators are gonna help you write a strong offer that's more likely to be accepted the first time around. So tip number 5 is do your inspections anyways. So you went through all this trouble, you looked at homes, you chose your favorite one, you wrote an offer for that favorite one, the offer was accepted, yay! Now you get to go back home, but be sure to do your inspections. And even if you can't be there in person, your real estate agent should be able to go to them on your behalf, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to phone you in or FaceTime you in, so that way you can ask the inspector any questions that you might have. It's so important not to skip this step, especially if you're not able to be there, and to look at all of the items that the inspector pointed out. All right, so here is my bonus tip for you. You really need to think about where you're gonna close. So what I mean by that is, are you coming here to Texas to close? Or are you gonna sign the paperwork in your state with a notary? You sign the paperwork, you send it back here to Texas. The lawyer here in Texas is reviewing all the documents and they say, oh, you missed a signature on page 12. So guess what? You have to fix it. And normally they charge a fee for that type of clerical error. There's a great chance that closing will be delayed, and now the seller's not happy, and nobody's really happy when things don't close on time. The other thing that's great about when you close here versus your state is the fact that you will get an opportunity to take a final look, a final walkthrough of the property that you just purchased, which is super helpful because you want to know if there's something wrong with the house before you purchase it. Maybe the hot water heater decided to give out and leak all over the floor. You want to know that before you sign all the paperwork for it. So this is all simply because of a clerical error when you could have just spent a couple $100s on a cheap plane ticket to fly you in, you sign the paperwork, you fly back to your home state, and crisis averted. So if all possible, try to be here for closing. So now you know all the secrets on how to buy a house long distance. And if you're thinking about moving here to Dallas, I have a great video for you right here. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to leave a comment for me if you're thinking of moving to the Dallas area, so that way I can answer any questions that you might have. And if you want to learn more about real estate here in Texas, or more specifically here in Dallas, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications, so that way you are notified every single time I create a new video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Go ahead and click. You are narrowing. Do I want to live in more of a rural setting? Rural.